All right. Good morning, traders. It's Melissa with Price Plan Profit. Today is Thursday, July 24th. And on Thursdays, I like to go live and just give you a peek into my pre market routine. We're going to start with the ES chart. I like to take a top down approach and share levels that I am watching from each time frame chart. So on this ES weekly chart, we did create a new all-time high, 6407.25. We, a couple weeks ago, created an inside week followed by an up candle. That buy zone is 62.74 to 62.23. And then the weekly cloud or the weekly 9 EMA is down here at 61.75. Those are the areas I would be looking for buyers if we were to have a pullback. Now let's take a look at the daily chart. On the daily chart, you can see yesterday was when we created that new all-time high, giving us a nice buy zone down here that lines up well with the 9 EMA. 63.46 and a half by 63.18. That would be the buy zone on the daily chart. Just below there, we have this buy zone where we consolidated for days and days and days. And that would be the next area I would be looking for buyers to show up if this buy zone doesn't work. On the 4-hour chart on the S&P, buy zone 63.69 by 63.53. This zone was created yesterday. We had an inside candle followed by an up candle, and then in the afternoon on ES after this pullback, nice large imbalance candle to the upside, creating the new all-time high. And just looking at the 4-hour chart, it looks like uh, pre-market we've drifted lower, possibly going to catch up with this 4-hour 9 EMA down here at 63.88. So when I'm making my blueprint for each day and levels to trade off of. Number one, I am going to look at the 3-hour inside and up that occurred down here. Now, this zone, we almost have inside and up candle formation on the 2-hour chart from yesterday, but I don't need to get super picky with that because I also use key Fibonacci zones to label as potential dip buys. You know, if you've been watching my videos, watching my lives, that I like to wait for confirmation in these buy zones. And that confirmation is making higher lows as well as a trendy turn signal, definitely an inside candle. And I watched the monster momentum reversal arrows as well. So the first potential buy zone on a dip on ES, I'm marking this 236 to 382 fib. That fib is ran from the low on Tuesday, which was the low of the week, up to the all-time high. Measuring this range, this would be my first buy zone. My second buy zone, according to fibs, is going to be what I call the golden pocket, the 50 to the 618 fib here. And once I put these potential buy zones before my demand on the daily blueprint, I like to go down to a 30-minute chart and check for candle formations, the inside candle formations around these zones to see if I have that kind of structure. So, not just based off of Fibonacci, but also based off of the inside candle formation. And you can see at this first buy zone, I do have inside and a candle formation right around it. So that gives me confidence, more conviction in this potential buy zone. Same with this one down here, several areas of uh, inside candles followed by up candles, several areas of buy arrows, momentum, reversal arrows, etc. So this would be the second potential buy zone. Now, this green zone down here represents demand. I'm a supply and demand trader. If price pulls back to this zone, then I would use this zone more for scaling into a 1 DTE or even into a Monday expiring option in this zone since it is Thursday. All right, so that's how I create those potential buy zones for today's blueprint. Now, because we're at all time highs, I do not have upside candle structure. Therefore, I don't have zones that I can mark. So I need levels above that I could trade to the upside and use as targets. So I'm going to measure the move that occurred from that Tuesday low into the Wednesday high, put some extension targets there. What I like to confirm is the top of this extension box, is it reasonable? What I mean is, are these key extension targets, namely the 618 up here, does that line up with the daily ATR on the ES? And I have a daily ATR label right up here. The daily ATR right now on ES is 57 points. So you can see that 618 would be very close to a daily ATR move from the all time high. All right, so I like these targets for that reason, so I will leave them there. Then I trade this blueprint off of a 5-minute chart. My favorite indicator is right down here, this cyan box that's printing. It can also be red if price is opening below the line in the sand, but this cyan box right here is the PMZ. I trade it every day. Price above the PMZ, I'm looking to go long. Price below it, I'm looking to go short. If price is below it and I'm short, I'm looking at where that first buy zone is at. That would be my target. And it would also be the area that I would potentially be looking to go long. So once the PMZ pops up, it will not give me values and a box until closer to the market open, but I will have my, let's call it over under, right? Above it, I'm looking to go long and targeting any line on my chart to the upside. Below it, I'm looking to go short and targeting the lines on my chart to the downside. All right. Now let's go over to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ actually made new all time highs yesterday on the big earnings reports. It had been lagging behind the ES the last couple of days and had not made new all time highs. But on the weekly chart on the NASDAQ, we did create inside and up here on this weekly chart. And this week's candle has made a new all time high. This is the area I would be looking for buyers to step in on the NASDAQ if we get a pullback. 22,860 by 22,480. On the daily chart on the NASDAQ, Same thing. We created a demand zone on the daily chart, made a new all time high in the after hours last night. The 9 EMA is lining up well inside of this buy zone, 23,232 and a half by 23,017. This is where I would be looking for buyers to step in. On a 4-hour chart, you will see the new all sorry, the new all-time high up here. Well, I thought they made a new all-time high. I could be wrong, guys. So scratch all that. It looks like they just touched it to the tick and didn't come up here and make a new all-time high. I know that the Dow did make a new all-time high. NQ still has not. It was a couple points off. So apologies there. As far as this 4-hour chart goes, we created this buy zone back on Friday. Then on Tuesday, we flushed down below it, creating a low this week at 23,108. This is also on my daily blueprint because I want to see, is this a flush low? Do we continue making higher lows on pullbacks down towards this 23,108? If we take out 23,108, very simply, I'm looking for buyers down here in this zone that you see on the chart, 23,039 by 22,803. Now, nice and balanced candle at the end of the market yesterday. But same as ES, we are slowly pulling back. This has more of a rounding pattern right now. If this low is indeed the low of the session, 23,346, then this is looking like a rounding bottom, which would lead us further to the upside on the NASDAQ. But I cannot predict that ahead of time because we could very well come down and make lower lows and then no rounding pattern there. But the cloud support, the 9 EMA support on the 4-hour chart for the NASDAQ today is 23,341. Now let's look at the daily blueprint. Again, I use inside and up candle structure to create these demand zones that you see on my chart. There are other potential buy the dip zones that I use candle confirmation if price pulls back to them to before getting long, because obviously if the price drops back into these zones, then we are below the PMZ in most cases. I want to see that candle confirmation because my bias is based on the PMZ on pullbacks. I also love having these zones on here because it gives me targets to the downside below the PMZ. So I went ahead and marked those Fibonacci's. Now I'm going to go down to that 30-minute chart looking for the inside candle structure. Good morning, Govinda. Nice to see you in here so bright and early, especially if you're not on the East Coast. All right, looking for the candle structure. I can see this zone has been tested here in the pre-market. This is that rounding bottom action that we're seeing on the 4-hour chart right now. So I will watch this zone on pullbacks, looking for higher lows inside of the zone, inside candle, followed by a breakout candle and trendy turn signals or monster Momo reversal arrows. All right, so the first buy zone is here in gray, the second buy zone is here in gray, and then my buy the dip in demand would be down here, the green zone. Again, I do not have the candle structure up and to the left because price is sitting at or near all-time highs. So what I'm going to do is go back to that 2-hour chart, measure this range with a Fibonacci extension tool, and create higher targets to the upside. All right. And it would look like this. That way I have some extension targets if today turns out to be a bullish day. Now looking at the 618 from where the all-time high is that is about 175, 180 points up here from where price is currently at. That would be about 225 or so points to the upside. If I look at the daily ATR, it's 260 points. So this is reasonable extension targets for me, and I will keep those as my extension targets. Again, I will wait on the 5-minute chart to see where the PMZ is going to print for today. It automatically prints. I don't have to draw it on here. So I'll see where it's going to print, and then I will treat that as my bias price above it. I'm looking for the upside and targeting any line above. Then price below it, I'm looking for the downside, targeting any level below. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the Dow since it did finally make a new all time high. It had been waiting. On the weekly chart on the Dow, you can see it created a new all time high here. Last week's candle, we had that big flush down, and I marked on the chart, is this a flush low? Notice a question mark. We won't know unless price continues to the upside this week and we don't take out that low of 43,973. But I do want to pay attention here because if this was indeed a flush low, then this is a rounding bottom pattern on the weekly chart and could be showing some potential strength into August in Dow related names. Typically, if that is happening, you're having more of a risk off type environment for those tech heavy NASDAQ names. So, this is important to me to see, are we showing some potential shift into the Dow related names from the tech heavy NASDAQ? Only time will tell, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The YM on the daily chart looks great. We created some demand on the daily chart. The 9 EMA is lining up there at 44,746. For our chart, we are getting a Momo reversal arrow after making that new all-time high. It's not uncommon. We make a new all-time high, people take profits, they're excited, that drives price down. Does this 4-hour cloud act as support? I right now would expect it to because it's below price. So looking at the cloud here at about 44,991, I'm looking for this to be support on the Dow. Below there, I would be looking at 44,761 as the next potential area of support. Down here is the buy zone on this 4-hour chart, 44412. All right. Now, let me talk about what I do next. So each day I watch the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 futures screen. I can trade SPX, SPY, or ES futures off that futures. And I can also trade QQQ, NDX, or NQ futures off the NQ blueprint. But I also like to take a look at three other different tickers from my PMZ watch list over here and potentially trade them out of their pre market zones, either above or below the zone. The way that I start that out is by checking to see if what sectors are the strongest, what sectors are the weakest in the pre-market. I have a watch list, just simply built a watch list on TOS here, put in the ETFs that I follow, and then I scroll down to this mark percentage change. That's telling me what's going on in the pre-market in these sectors. And I can see I have a lot of red up here towards the top. The Dow is down some after making new all time highs. Gold miners and gold is having a pullback here. Uh, Home builders, I call that flat. I just go down, I'm looking for the big showing relative strength with these green numbers, the percentage up being higher than 0.04% for SPY, right? So that would tell me SMH is outperforming because it's up a half a percent. US oil is up 0.64. Then communication sector, Google is helping this out. Google is a big part of the communication sector, but it's up 0.58. Then the tech sector up 0.22. The big loser right now is XLY. I'm sure y'all know why potentially XLY is down. Tesla reported earnings yesterday, and it was a miss according to the market. I don't know what the actual figures were, but the market said no, sir, on Tesla earnings, and price has fallen back down from 333 to 340 where it peaked yesterday. It has fallen all the way back down into 312.79 by 307.87. Well, Tesla's a big part of consumer discretionary sector, so it's going to affect it heavily, and it is down 1%. All right. So now that I know SMH is looking good for potential upside plays, I could play some oil names if I was so inclined, which I'm not just because those charts look like dookie right now, unless you're looking for some longer term trade ideas on oil names. But overall, I'm not real interested in watching oil for day trades. So I will look at some semiconductor names. I will look at some potential momentum type of names like quantum names or AI names. And then I will look and see what the tech sector is doing overall, like Apple or Amazon, etc. So now I go back to my PMZ watch list. And I'm just going to look down here from Apple all the way down to ExxonMobil. I know that I am interested in the semiconductors, having at least one name to watch. So I'm going to start with the first name on my list, which is AMD. I have a daily blueprint here for AMD that I would use to trade this out of the PMZ. The red zone's my sell zone, the green zone is my buy zone. So I will be watching and waiting. Price is in between. So above if I were to trade this above the PMZ from where price is right now, that would be 5 to $9 of reward to the upside. If price goes below the PMZ and I trade it to my buy zone, that would be about $4 to $11 down into this buy zone. So I have good potential reward both to the upside or the downside on AMD. Now I'm going to take a look at Broadcom and do the same thing. Now, Broadcom after the bell shot up $10 and just wow. It does not have candle structure above because it made new all-time high after the bell. So I'm going to run some Fibonacci extensions to give me targets in case I trade Broadcom and I need targets above that all-time high that was created yesterday. On these charts, I could do the exact same thing I do for the futures charts and create little buy zones here. I don't typically do that, so I'm not going to do it today. But if you know my process, you know how I would do that. Now, we could be creating a rounding bottom here on Broadcom. This cloud I would treat as support on the 2 hour. It's lining up within that bull channel here Fibonacci wise. So interesting level there. Daily ATR on Broadcom is about $8. So as far as these extension targets, um, it would need a larger than the average range in order to get to this first extension target. But I do have the all-time high as a target up here about $5 above where price is at. I can also come to a smaller time frame and create a little bit smaller initial target if I wanted to. But that is Broadcom. Not sure that it will make my list, but I am keeping an eye on it. Then we have NVIDIA down here. Good morning, Andy. Good to see you. I have NVIDIA down here. NVIDIA is in a sell zone. This has been a resistance all day yesterday, even though Nvidia had nice price to the upside. As long as price is inside of this sell zone, I treat it as resistance. Now, if we make a run on the open, 173.41 would be my first target, then the all-time high 174.53. NVIDIA isn't one that's going to make my list just based on the fact that price is in the sell zone here, and I could trade AMD or AVGO instead. I also want to take a look at Taiwan Semis, and Taiwan Semis looks like it's having the same issue. It's inside of a sell zone that was created on Friday, and it is making lower highs, lower lows as of right now. So it's not the one I'm going to focus on. Honestly, I think I'm liking AMD the best right now because of the rounding bottom here. I like that. I like my potential reward to the upside. 162 would be that. 162.39 would be the first target, and then 165.26 and 169.30 on AMD here. As far as downside goes, any line that you see on the chart is support until proven otherwise. Then I would trade this buy zone down here. All right. So I'm going to put AMD on my list as far as the semiconductor to focus on for this morning. Then up next, I want to take a look at where Bitcoin futures are at because they have been in a tug of war of a golden pocket to the upside that has been resistance, and I would love to see them get above there. Now, this is a smaller time frame chart. Let me show you on the larger time frame chart. This golden pocket, the bearish golden pocket from the all-time high to that swing low. This 119853, we might as well just call this 120, okay? 120, it has been resistance, and it's been resistance over and over. Right back here, here again, here again, here again, yesterday as well. So I would like to trade IBIT off of this Bitcoin chart. And I do have a swing position on IBIT, but that doesn't mean that I can't trade it out of its PMC. So I just want to check if the blueprint from yesterday, if I need to make any changes, and it really doesn't look like I need to. I am going to move this line down and line it up with the lower daily edge today. That would be a downside target on the way to my buy zone. And then this line looks good. That's on the weekly edge mid. Then I have that pesky 50 and 618 fibs here. And then finally the target zone. So I'm going to watch IBIT again to trade out of the PMZ. In the event Bitcoin can get up and above 127.40, which is the 618 of the recent move to the downside, that's when my IBIT position could really go up in here and possibly even test the all-time highs at 70.07 on IBIT. All right. So next up, I'm going to stay away from names like IBM, Google, and Tesla that just reported yesterday. There can be a lot of craziness the next morning. So better for me just to avoid those. But if I were wanting to trade them, I would simply find my buy and sell zones and then run some Fibonacci's and use those as my targets either to the upside or downside. So picking a third name here, I'm just going to scan over my list. I'm going to look at where price is at in comparison to buy and sell zones. That gives me an idea of what risk to reward would look like. So for Amazon, the top here of my sell zone, 232.53, that's almost $3 to the upside. For a reward for the downside, that would be 2.5, almost $3 all the way to the downside. Amazon does have nice price action where it's creating a rounding bottom on the 2-hour chart. Let me check that 4-hour chart. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We are now, this zone was tested yesterday. Sorry, guys, but we created the zone right here in this inside and down candle formation with an imbalance candle at 229.71. So if I look over here, you can see the rejection yesterday from that touch back down, but look at how well it recovered. So not bad. 234.81 being the top. So 234.81, just in case Amazon screams to the upside and breaks out of this little 2-hour zone. I'm going to mark 234.81 on here because that is the top of the 4-hour zone. All right. So Amazon looks interesting, rounding bottom, but I would be willing to play it to the downside as well if we are seeing some bleed over of weakness from the XLY, the consumer discretionary sector. Amazon is a part of that sector, and if we see some bleed over from that, there is a potential of Amazon rolling over here and coming back to the buy zone. Let me just look. Okay, earnings are next week, next Thursday, as a matter of fact. So nothing to worry about there. So the third name that I'm going to focus on today for potential day trade is Amazon. So I will be looking at AMD, IBIT, and Amazon to potentially trade out of their PMCs this morning. And then, of course, watching and talking through the whole first hour of exactly what my train of thought is and what my trades would be during that first hour of the market. I do that in the trendy room and the SPX room. If y'all aren't a part of those rooms, I invite you to join us. We do have a $7 trial for 30 days. You can come and hang out in the trendy room. There's also a trial for the SPX room. You can come and hang out for 30 days and trade with us live. I think you would enjoy it. I know that we have a lot of awesome subscribers that are very helpful. And yeah, you get real time API alerts in our rooms. The alerts come directly from mine and my trading partner, Trendy John, straight from our account. So you know what we're trading, when we're trading it, every detail from quantity to the price we pay is in those alerts. So come check us out at Simpler Trading in the Trendy Trading Room and the SPX Alerts Room. All right, guys, I look forward to trading with all of you here in about 2 hours. Until then, I will see you in my next video or live session. Have a great day.